What is going on, YouTube universe? My name is Trent and welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, the channel where we discuss everything Australian rules football. Now, it has been a hot minute since I have dropped a video on this channel. I do apologise for that, but for the triumphant return, what better stage to be doing it for than the 2024 AFL Grand Final between the Sydney Swans and the Brisbane Lions. Two teams that have undoubtedly been the benchmark in many ways for the 2024 season. But before we get our tips in and predictions for that match later on this afternoon, let's have a little bit of a discussion about the path that led both of these teams here. Do bear with me as well, I'm a little bit under the weather trying to shake it off, but nothing was stopping me from getting this video out today. I have dicked around long enough with no semi-final and no preliminary final video. There was no way I was missing the grand final. If you were to throw caution to the wind, you would probably think Brisbane head into this game with the most momentum. However, it is Sydney that actually walk in with the better record, having won 5 of their last 5. Looking at the stats, they rounded out their home and away season with wins against Collingwood, Essendon and Adelaide, before picking up their 1-goal victory in the opening week of finals against GWS, and then absolutely belting Port Adelaide last week, which we cannot underrate that win at all, because the last time those two teams faced off, and it was only a month or two ago, they were destroyed by Port Adelaide to the tune of almost 100 points. I think it actually was over 100 points. To lose by 100, and then the next time you face them, you turn it around to almost a 40-point win. Huge. Comparatively, Brisbane lost against Collingwood in round 23, which is their last loss of the year. They finished with a win against Essendon, and then they have gone the long route during the finals in an impressive finals campaign. Smashed Carlton week 1, only a 5-point win against GWS in the semi-final, and then last week, one of the all-time greatest prelims that we have ever witnessed, holding off a fast-finishing Geelong team to run home the victors by 10 points. This is where you can make all of those hypothetical arguments, whether or not Sydney winning in week 1 and then having the break during the semis, heading into that match against Port Adelaide had them better suited, whether or not Brisbane going the long route allows them to build up more momentum moving forward. Looking at the head-to-head, I would be a little bit concerned if I was a Sydney fan, because you've got to go all the way back to 2021 to pick up the last time they defeated Brisbane. Back in 2021, Sydney picked up the victory 125-94, but since then, it has fallen the way of Brisbane 113-89, 97-81, 81-56, and earlier this year, in what I and many others touted as the grand final preview, 79-77. Someone could kindly tell the frog in my throat to fuck off, I would appreciate it. Despite all these numbers, Sydney go into the grand final as favourites quite heavily, and I think the team lineups will show us why. There is only one change that has been made heading into this game, and that is Oscar McInerney being taken out of the lineup due to a dislocated shoulder, and Darcy Fort getting the opportunity of a lifetime to play the #1 ruck role for Brisbane in a grand final. Now, this, I think, turns the tide heavily, because while Oscar McInerney is not a premier ruckman of the competition, he is an absolute workhorse, and I feel doesn't get his just desserts when spoken about amongst the other ruckmen in the competition. This now sets up Darcy Fort, who is still incredibly rough and raw around the edges, I feel, in many aspects, taking on Brodie Grundy, who is going to be looking for a little bit of retribution. You'll probably ask yourself what this retribution is, and that is the fact that Collingwood traded him to Melbourne while they went on to win a premiership without him. He's going to want to fill that void. He's going to be hungry to bring home a premiership cup, and if they do so on the back of his work, he could arguably go down as the best trade pickup in recent years, comfortably. A couple of other things to note about the lineups this week is Logan McDonald was subbed out last weekend with an ankle injury, and this week, as early as the captain's run that only happened a day or two ago, was nursing that ankle injury quite heavily. Didn't compete in any running, did a lot of static handballing, not much kicking, and all of the emergencies were actively training. So don't be surprised if there is a late swing and Logan McDonald is taken out of the game. Overnight as well, and probably the news that you don't want dropping 24 hours out from a grand final, is apparently this story that Joe Daniher is weighing up whether or not he continues to play on beyond 2024. If Brisbane win this year, I am probably going to solidify the fact that Joe Daniher is going to retire. Huge call if it does happen, but BT has also turned around and said that at the conclusion of this year's grand final, there is going to be a huge announcement immediately made. I don't know whether he was alluding to the fact that Joe Daniher was going to announce retirement straight after, regardless of outcome, whether BT is about to call his final AFL game and he's going to retire. I don't know. Speculation city heading around into this fucking game. What isn't speculative, though, is the matchups that this game is going to present us. I would argue that James Rowbottom probably goes to Lachie Neale. Dunkley's going to go to either one of Chad Warner or Isaac Heaney in a lockdown role. Darcy Fort, although is the #1 ruck for Brisbane, I'm expecting him to be chopped out by Joe Daniher to give him a little bit of an advantage against Brodie Grundy. You've then got the likes of probably Harry Cunningham playing on Charlie Cameron. Eric Hipwood probably gets taken by Dan Rampy. Joe Daniher probably goes to Tom McCartan, or vice versa. Tom McCartan goes to Joe Daniher. Blakey as an offensive threat off of that half-back line versus Zorko as an offensive threat off of his half-back line. Going to be a great battle to watch. Cam Rayner probably gets picked up by, I don't know, maybe Jake Lloyd. It's going to be an interesting watch for Cam Rayner because I reckon he's going to break this game apart. Everywhere has matchups that are very tasty. With all that out of the way, it is time to get my predictions and tips in. First of which, first goal kicker. I'm going a little bit astray. I'm going with Eric Hipwood. He has had a very quiet finals run. He is always scapegoated when Brisbane play poorly, because especially when Brisbane play poorly, you can't find this bastard anywhere. But I'm expecting him to come out and have a huge grand final, kicks the opening goal. For the Norm Smith, if you're looking at somebody a little bit outside that presents value, for Brisbane, I'm looking at Calamar Chi. I reckon he is a very good chance. He just pops up at the right time and can have influence on a game when you're looking at Neale and Dunkley and Ashcroft, players like that. Calamar Chi flies under the radar so severely and is one of those players that can easily rack up 20 possessions and kick a couple of goals. For Sydney, I'm looking at Matt Roberts, a very criminally underrated season. I felt could have very well won the NAB Rising Star given the situation that fell upon that this year. And if he has a role that can clamp down a player like Charlie Cameron, but he can have an influential input as well, definitely have eyes on him. My selection for the Norm Smith, however, is going to be Cam Rayner. Now, I was originally going to say Dane Zorko, but I think that's a little bit too plain Jane. I think a lot of people will be looking at Dane Zorko. But Cam Rayner, especially in that Geelong game, you just have a look at how he can turn the tide so quickly off of his own boot. If he can come out and have a 20-plus disposal game, kick 3 goals, and play a pivotal role in either shifting momentum Brisbane's way or further solidifying a lead for Brisbane, I definitely feel he will be in the conversation. As for the winner, I have been pulled pillar to post. I have headed into this game with an open mind and acceptance that if either team wins, I'm happy to walk away with that. But my eggs are getting put into the Brisbane basket here. I just feel momentum-wise, they have built more during this finals campaign. I don't think they're going to allow themselves to become runner-up 2 years in a row. The pain of last year's grand final is going to haunt them, yet fuel them to get over the line against Sydney. And I'm going to back Brisbane to win this one by 9 points in one of the all-time great grand finals we have seen in recent years. That's it. We've made it to the end of the video, and I've made it in one piece. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me during this whole sick situation. I do apologise again for no semi-final and no preliminary final videos. However, I can tell you moving forward, hopefully I can shake whatever this is off, because the next couple of videos that are going to drop will be my Brownlow wrap-up. I've wanted to let that sit for a little bit before we dove on into that conversation. And then we start getting involved into trade talk and draft talk, which will include a phantom draft, at least talking about the top 20 picks, And then we start looking into some trade discussion as well as maybe even evaluating the years that we have seen from each and every team respectively, where they succeeded, where they fell short, what they need to improve on heading into 2025. But as always, if there is any type of video or conversation you would like to have me do or have, do let me know in the comment section down below. Always open to you guys. That is it from me, guys. I'm out of here. If you are a Brisbane or a Sydney fan, good luck to your teams this afternoon. If you're watching as a neutral, hopefully we just get a good game. But most importantly, as always, I will catch you guys next time. Provided I'm still alive.